It's Hollie's Hotspurs back with another one. Chatting all things Tottenham, we're second to none. Special guests every time, if it's win, lose or draw. The passion is high like Harry Kane when he scores. Or when Lloris makes a world-class save. We got Højbjerg running the mid every game. Settle down, stick around, share your thoughts with the panel. And make sure you're subscribing to the channel. COYS.
There we go. Hello and welcome to another episode of Hollie's Hotspurs Live, where once again we'll be having a therapy session because we've lost another game. And to be honest, after witnessing Ronaldo sue 3 times, I think this therapy session is well needed, shall we say. We've got some guys already in the chat. Hello, everybody. Chris, yes, I have been on the gym again. But with me tonight to go over everything that unfolded on Saturday against Man United, I am joined by 3 lovely guests. First of all, Luke, how are you this Monday evening and how are you coping with another Tottenham loss?
Yeah, look, I'm all good, as good as you can be. Look, glad to be back on. Glad to be ranting again about Spurs, but I don't know. What we're going to do?
That is a very good question. But yes, Luke, it's a pleasure to have you back on the channel once again. And I'm also joined by Connor, who you've all seen before, and he's back again on Hollie's Hotspurs Live. How are you, Connor, tonight?
Yeah, I'm all right, thanks. Obviously, just thinking about Saturday, to be honest. We'll go into it, but all right for a Monday, I guess. Not bad. Thanks.
I know. Oh, I mean, Mondays tend to be naff anyway, but once you have to talk about Tottenham losing again, it just makes things all much lovelier. But anyway, like Ryan says as well, we are also joined once again by Tans. Tans, it's lovely to see you back on the podcast and doing podcasts again. How have you been?
Yeah, no, I've been good. Yeah, I think I was taking a little bit of a break, so it's so good to come on your channel as always, Holes. It's always a pleasure. Annoying that it's a loss again. I feel like I'm always on here talking about us losing. But yeah, looking forward to being on the show, but I can't say I'm looking forward to talking about this game.
I know. So I promise I do not make it happen. I do not make it fate that I have you
I know, I
on
feel
me.
like you secretly do.
Oh dear. But obviously talking about those kind of things and how coincidental it is. At the moment we are on this ridiculous win-loss regime, as it seems. And it started straight from the off pretty much, didn't it, Luke? Because as much as it pains me to say it, we saw Ronaldo do Ronaldo things right from the off. And I mean, we can't put a lot of blame on some of the players, but for me, straight away, I think the first point of call is obviously the fact we never really did anything to close Ronaldo down, especially for that first goal. What was your kind of take on letting Ronaldo have that much time?
Yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it? Like, you get a world-class player. Like, the same probably would happen if Lukaku played against us, right? He can't score in 10 weeks on Sunday, but if he came against us, he'd probably score a hat-trick as well. Like, it's always the way. Like, the one problem I have, right, and I'll go off from the start about Spurs, the biggest problem Spurs have is if teams sit back against Spurs, we suffer and we can't win. I was talking to one of my friends, Liverpool fan, today, and I said, if you attack us when we play next, we probably could get something out of the game. If you sit back and try and counter-attack us, guaranteed you'll win 3 or 4-0. It's always the exact same way. Like, look at Leeds, look at Everton. Both teams tried to attack Spurs, and we just absolutely annihilated them. Look at Burnley. Look at United. United set up, in my opinion, like perfectly against Spurs. They sat up deep. They had fast wide players with Sancho and Rashford. Had Ronaldo through the middle, and I think that it worked out perfectly for Man United. But yeah, I think with like the first Ronaldo goal, like Eric Dyer had to stand off Ronaldo after the potential handball that could have happened earlier. So he had to give him some space, but just I don't think you can't defend against goals like that. I think it was a world-class strike from what is a world-class player. But what the hell is this all about? That him breaking more records now when it happens to be against Spurs? Like,
I'm glad you mentioned it because I think it's been 14 years since he's obviously scored a hat-trick in a Man United shirt, and he does it against us, doesn't he, Tans? Like you say, it's just fate, isn't it? And like obviously Luke's just said about how we didn't really close him down, and I'm glad you picked up on it because obviously lots of people were saying it was Dyer's fault, and I did first of all think it was Dyer's fault, but then when you think about the space behind him, if he pulls out, you've got the likes of Fred, I think, that was running in behind. So, Connor, that being said, is it just an organisation issue in the middle rather than us straight away blaming the defence for that first goal?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think, like Luke said as well, we've got to understand that Ronaldo is, he's in that small number of players who you give them any space, any moment can completely change a game. So it's hard to pick that apart, really, like you say, in the sense of you sort of had to give him space. But yeah, it's a tough one because I don't know. I mean, we're talking about the space behind. I mean, you look at the second Ronaldo goal as well, where the ball's over the top. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's definitely something to do with the organisation. It's the same sort of mistakes where, I mean, you can't look at the Ronaldo one as a mistake because you are going to give him space, but across the game, it's the same defensive mistakes again. So yeah, definitely 100% to do with the organisation of the team as a whole. And you list off however many managers you want, you're still going to have that same problem because it's the same core of players, so
100%. Yeah. I'm glad you said the same core of players, because there's so many times I've sat in this podcast and I've said the same problems are caused by the same players. I mean, as you might know, Harry Winks now has a bag on his head because Jay wanted his dartboard back, but it's the same, isn't it, Tans? I know Winks didn't play obviously till later on in the game, but we talk about that back line, and it's been rather strange because the likes of Dyer and Romero have been so strong this season. I'm not quite sure what kind of went wrong in that game, because there was a lot of bad decisions from them, I thought, against Man United.
No, definitely. Do you know what made me laugh as well? I mean, I know we'll get into the other goals. It was Romero's reaction when Maguire scored that own goal, and it's like, oh, he's going to regret this, isn't he? And he ended up regretting it. Yeah, it's frustrating. I just think we can look at the errors defensively, but I just think it's the mentality, really, of the players just not turning up for the occasion. And I think we got a bit scared of United. And I can't think why. I don't think Man United were great in that game, in all honesty. And I think, talking about the Ronaldo goal in particular, I think it would be very, very harsh to kind of, pick at the defensive line, shall we say, or it would be harsh to say Dyer could have done better. I just think it was a screamer of a goal. Like when he scored it, or before it even went in, I knew it was going in, because I just thought it was just shot perfectly. Like I just, it's a difficult one, but of course we can always do better defensively. And yeah, as I say, I just think we need to blame ourselves for just not taking an opportunity to beat a poor Man United side, in my opinion.
I think that is the main thing as well, because obviously we can joke about this win-loss obviously regime that's going on at the moment, but I'm not kidding you. When I thought about playing this game, I was quietly confident, because, like you said,
I was so honestly, I've done combined 11s, right, with Man United fans, and I said, no way is Ronaldo getting in. He's not been playing well. I even put Doherty in a combined 11, honestly. Wow. And now I'm just like shaking my head, honestly. He got in, because I just think Man United, they haven't been great. I mean, we haven't been by any stretch of the imagination, but I think going into it, we were kind of the favourites. I had us as favourites. So, yeah, you weren't wrong to be confident, but I guess we were. Looking at the game.
I know, it's just so frustrating. It happens all the time, doesn't it, Luke? Like, Tan's spoken about getting up for a game, and I thought this was one we were going to get up for because it's against Man United. And I know the likes of having, when we had Graham Roberts on the show and Mickey Hazard, they were pretty much down to earth, and they were like, we wouldn't get up to play Norwich, we wouldn't get up to play these other sides, but Man United, we would be up for it. So Luke, do you think it's still a mentality thing with this
I also think, like, we've kind of like broken the hoodoo as such, like with Arsenal, in my opinion. Like, you go into an Arsenal Spurs game and you think, do you know what, we've got like as big a chance as we ever have done, rather than maybe like 10 years ago we wouldn't have said that, right? Against like Man City, they've only been going 10 years, but we have a good record against Man City. So again, like, you come into those games and like I'm always pretty confident in a sense of those. But that kind of like Manchester United and Chelsea, we've never seemed to have broken that kind of curse of always seeming to lose against them or get on the wrong side of poor results. Look at the game, the last game we played against Man United. I think Edison Cavani scored against us. Do you know what I mean? And he can barely even get into the team. So it's wild, and I don't understand it. But we really need to kind of start beating these teams regularly to kind of break this, like, I don't know whether it is mentality or break this kind of like curse that we've had over our shoulders for so long. I don't know how the players could know about it because half of them, haven't been around for that going back that long, but they must know. I don't know. It's bizarre, honestly. We seem to be the only team in the world that has like this piss poor mentality that just can't get up for like some games and can get up for other games. I don't understand it. I've been trying to kind of like in my brain like analyze like why it happens and why it doesn't happen. But we can blame whoever we want to blame, but at the end of the day, it seems to be the players. And I don't know how anyone's ever gonna change it. I don't know. I don't understand.
No. It is a really strange one, like you say. I just want to say, big up Bob Spur TV. I know you're on the men's, mate. It's so nice to see you in the channel.
That's such good news.
It's lovely news. So keep your head up, Bob. Hopefully Spurs will crack this soon because it's driving me nuts. But Connor, I come to you as well. Do you think, obviously, what Tans and Luke have said, that it's still this mentality thing, or do you think, like you've already previously said already on the show, it's because we've got that same core of players that still don't know necessarily how to get it over the line?
It's definitely mentality, but we've got a wider issue here as well. I mean, looking beyond the United result, there were a lot of those games where, for instance, you say Burnley, Wolves, Southampton, previously there were games where we might have won and we come into this and go, we're not that desperate to win it. If we come away with a draw, that's fine. Top four still possible, but it's definitely mentality, and it is getting worse because the fact that we can't see out those, no disrespect to those teams, but we can't see out those games. And then we come into this and, we're coming out of a 2-2 and we're going, yeah, you know what? That's all right. It's not bad. And then they scored late. It's like, it's a consistent mentality, a mentality that has shown that so many good managers are struggling to change because it's that same set of players. So the massive issue boils down to making sure that Conte is going to get that back in, because I would not be surprised if he walks at this rate without sounding like that person, but just because when he's a winner and when you're working with this team that can't win games, you've got to question, is it me or is it the players? Well, he's gone and done it elsewhere. So, so yeah, definitely mentality. And the best way to solve that is probably a complete clear out in the summer.
It's interesting you said that, about like Conte, because I remember really like vividly in my mind of him doing this at 2-2 and saying like focus, and what happened, whatever, 5 minutes later. Do you know what I mean? Like, and so it's really interesting that you said about Conte, like it can't be him because he was there shouting at the players, focus. But again, sorry, Holly, another set piece that we just can't defend.
So frustrating.
We are notorious.
And wasn't there like a weird stat about United and corners? Like they don't score many corners. What was it? I think they've had 150 or something, and now we've gifted, I think, something crazy like that. And I was just like, oh my God, why are we so Spursy? Like it just has to be us, doesn't it? It just has to be.
So shit at set pieces. We have been for as long as I can ever remember.
So bad, but it's like, why are we not learning? Why are these players not learning? And that's why you have to question. Like some of them are just uncoachable then, because Dyer's part of that back line that has conceded how many corners. So surely, you learn. Why don't you learn? I don't get it.
I don't either, and I think it's the question we'll be still asking for a long time. But I want to put like a slightly positive stint on, obviously, out of a 3-2 game. I'm trying to find picking at straws, basically. But I always say his name wrong, and I always get butchered in the comments for saying it wrong, and I'm still going to say it wrong, and that is Kulusevski. Because Tans.
Oh, I love him. Oh my God, what's the song? Give me a ginger from Sweden. Oh, I love it. Sorry, carry on. Love him.
But he is literally the only burning light, I think, in that team. To think that he was the one that went and made sure that we received the penalty. He was the one that got that penalty for us in that kind of sense. So with that, putting it on the flip, do you think that, like Connor said, the summer is a real big time for us? But we have got the likes of Kulusevski. So what are your thoughts on him and whether we can keep him consistently playing at the level he is at the moment?
I love Kulusevski. I think, if I have to be honest, Conte made a mistake taking him off, I think, because he was such a threat throughout the whole game. I think he's been a great addition to our front three. I've been saying it for ages. Like, we've got Kane, we've got Son, but that right-hand side has always been a bit of an issue. I think Lucas Moura has been inconsistent. Obviously, had the likes of Lamela. So to have someone like Kulusevski, a player that can supply into Kane or Son, it's been a great it's been a breath of fresh air, really. I think he's come straight in and he's done really well. And to think he's only 21, I think we should be very excited about this signing. I can't remember what your question was again. I'm just getting so excited about
to be honest, you've hit most of it on the nail on the head anyway. Just the fact that how can he keep it up being so consistent, because he has been consistent since he's come in.
Oh, do you know what? Just keep playing. I think Conte should stick with him. As I said, I didn't really get why he came off, if I'm being honest, because I didn't see what Lucas Moura would have done better than Kulusevski. But yeah, just keep playing. I think, you know, he's done well. I think he's played, 7 games now. He's got 2 goals, 3 assists, something like that. So yeah, I think the more he plays, he's going to grow in confidence. And yeah, as I say, I'm just so delighted that we've got him. I think I'm gutted we didn't get Luis Diaz, seeing the player that Liverpool have got. But actually, when I look at Kulusevski, I think he's, you know, been doing just as good. So yeah, big up Kulu.
Big up Kulu. I think, like you said, it is amazing that the boy's only 21. And like Tan said, it is mad. It is incredible. And
he's had a hard paper round though, hasn't he?
But like you said, I think that we just need to keep him playing. And I know I'm going to come to you with this, Luke, because I know that Lucas Moura is like your best mate. And I know you rave about him a lot. But do you think that maybe, like Tan said, Sonny should have been, I think, the one that should have come off? I think the man is exhausted, honestly. And I know there's a lot of talk on Twitter that, I know there's a lot of deranged people on Twitter, but there's a lot of people saying that why is he still playing? What's he doing? What's going on with him? But I think it is because he's shattered. Do you not think, Luke? Do you think we need to give the likes of Bergwijn and maybe Lucas a run for their money and give Son a rest?
I don't know. I think it's difficult though, isn't it? Like, I agree. I do agree. Like it was like he was wearing ice skates, wasn't it, against United?
Skipped 3 times.
I know. I've never seen that fall over so much in my life, and it seems to be a consistent thing. And like, maybe I'm going back too far, but I'm going back as far as like Liverpool. Like even then, you know, I remember Kane put him through on goal, and it just the ball got caught underneath his feet, and it just carries on. It seems to carry on like that for a lot of time. You know, I couldn't believe that against City, he managed to keep the ball by his feet and lay it off to Kulusevski. But yeah, I don't know. I find it like tricky about dropping Son because of what he has available. Like, I think if you play Bergwijn in his place, you get like 50% of Son, and I'd rather have 50% of Son than Bergwijn, in my opinion. It was funny actually you mentioned about Lucas Moura and Kulusevski, because I literally texted my mates like while I was watching the game, and I was like, oh, I definitely would bring Lucas Moura on now. Like, and then 2 seconds later, the change made but the only reason for that is I think like we're late on in the game, and he offers that additional pace that Kulusevski doesn't have, and maybe he's a bit knackered by that point. But I don't think he's a better player. I think that first of all on Kulusevski, we need to make sure that like we sign him on a permanent deal, because I know it's like there's a lot of like obligations and things like that. But I think we need to make sure that that's tied off and done as soon as possible, because like he's just an outstanding player. Like he's got strength. Like even again, like where he won that penalty, he used his strength to be able to win the ball back. Then he did Jadon Sancho, and so I think he's got quite a lot in his locker. And I think that playing alongside Son and Kane for an extended period of time could be really, really beneficial for him. But dropping Son, I don't know, it's tricky, isn't it? Look, you drop him against Brighton, you lose.
It's going to be questions.
I've still got top 4 in my mind. I honestly do. Until there's not a mathematical chance.
Please,
look, I'll be honest with you. Arsenal have got the hardest run-in there is to play.
No, I think it's too much. We've given ourselves too much to do. I just think we'd have to rely on Arsenal to complete.
Look, they're going to lose against Liverpool midweek.
Yeah.
You know, we beat Brighton midweek. It's all to play for. Beat West Ham. It's all to play for, people. Look, if we win the next 2 games, there's a chance. Look, Arsenal still got to play Liverpool, Chelsea, Spurs, West Ham. I can't remember who else.
We've got to play West Ham. We've got to play West Ham as well.
Well, technically, the win-loss says that we beat Brighton and lose to West Ham.
There you go.
Quickly, before I move on to Connor, I just want to say, after what Luke said, Nanny Pat and Grandad Brian, get me a drinking, please. I need one right now. So get me one. But no, Connor, I'll come to you. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about Sonny and dropping Sonny. Are you kind of on the fence of saying we need to play him because it's Son, or do we need to give him a rest, do you think?
This is a really good question. And for me, Luke has got a great point. Listen, Sonny, you want him on the pitch because all it takes is one moment and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you can rely on him. But I'm with Luke as well. For me, the stats tell a different story to his season. I think he has been off it this season. I think personally in general, I think, he'll get through and he'll get through on goal and he'll bottle it, or, he'll just be missing in games. For me, it was the wrong substitution. Sonny had to come off. And I'm worried that because of how good he is for us, we're too scared to take him off. It's like, we haven't got any other option for Kane. So it's fine that Kane stays on. Not an issue with that. Love Kane to the end of the earth. Love Sonny to the end of the earth. But the issue you've got is when you've got Kulusevski who's a lot more involved, a lot more up for it, and Sonny's not been in the game at all, you can't be scared to take him off, because when you take off a player who's been involved for someone who's not been involved, then you've got an issue. The Lucas sub was the right one. For me, it was maybe a little bit too late, potentially. But Sonny, you can't be scared to take him off. I love him, but you're right. He might be burnt out. It might well be a case of starting him against Brighton and taking him off early. It might well be a case of just bringing him off the bench. Like, I don't think he's got 90 minutes in his locker right now. I think he legit just needs a break because he's going to get burnt out. Whether it will be against Brighton or against, West Ham's a bigger. I mean, all the games are big, but West Ham's a bigger game. So you want 100% Sonny against West Ham rather than maybe 70% Sonny against Brighton, and then Sonny's even worse off against West Ham. I think we shouldn't be scared to drop him. We've got other options in Bergwijn and Lucas. This is their chance to prove that they deserve to be here next season. That's the way I see it. I think start him against Brighton, see what happens. We didn't sell Bergwijn in January for a reason. Or I know it was the Leicester game. Come on, the Leicester game was a good enough reason to keep him, but we kept him. So let's use him. Let's see from him what he can offer. And if he can't offer anything, then we know to get rid of him. I see now as a free hit. I admire Luke's positivity, and I'm
me too.
Mathematically we can still get top four. But
thank you very much.
No, I admire it, and I think it's worth being optimistic. While we can mathematically get it, we've got to feel positive about it. But we need Arsenal to slip up as well. It's not in our hands. So the way I see it now is take a hit, take a free hit. Don't go into that West Ham game with tired players, because I tell you right now, the last thing we want is to lose that game as well, because that's their cup final. So for them, that they've got the bragging rights until next season if they win that. So
it is a very good point. I think, like we're all kind of saying, you can't really take Sonny out of those, like you say, Brighton's a big game for us, but so is West Ham, and I think I'd prefer to have bragging rights over West Ham than I would Brighton. But it's true, I think, like we've all said, Sonny is burnt out. It's clear to see he's not giving it 100% because I don't think he physically can. So that being said, we'll kind of move on to obviously that Brighton game coming up, Tans. And I have done a little bit of homework for once. They have They have lost their last 4 games. So that being said, it's one of those curses again for Dr. Tottenham to raise its head. But going back to the win-loss, we should be winning this game. And Tans, do you think we can? Or do you think that the curse will bow its head and we will be losing to Brighton?
Can I just ask, when we struggled with Brighton in the past, was we at home or we were away? I can't remember when we've lost a couple of results.
Yeah, we had that 3-0 away where Lloris done
Yeah, that sticks in my mind. Look, we beat Brighton this season, but I'm pretty sure that was a close call. I remember. Brighton are a good side, as much as they've lost a lot of games. I watched them against Liverpool actually, and I know they lost, but I still thought they weren't too bad in that game. It's tricky to predict Spurs games at the minute. I honestly can't tell you what Spurs are going to turn up. If you're using that basis of win-loss, then yeah, we're on course to probably beat them, right? You'd think. But when you say things like, oh, they've lost how many games, you're just like, oh, here we go. It's Spurs time, Spursy time. So, look, on paper, we should be beating Brighton. We should. But as I say, I don't know what Spurs will turn up. Maybe, I think I'd like to see a change in the lineup. I do think Sonny, because I didn't get a chance to speak about Son, I do agree with what Connor was saying about Son. I think we need to stop being so scared of dropping him. And it's okay to say that he needs a bit of a rest. It doesn't mean that you're getting on his back. I think, if anything, he's just not been playing well. And I think anyone in this team that isn't playing well should be put on the bench for a little bit. We're not saying that he should go in the summer. Like, when fans are saying that, they're taking it too far. But, maybe, bringing in fresh blood to start that game, like a Bergwijn. Because I actually think Bergwijn, I'm not his biggest fan, but the Leicester game, he came on and saved it for us. I can't remember what game it was, and he came on as a sub. I thought he made an instant impact. So maybe give him a chance, because, we don't know if he's going to stay here. So, it's a free hit. But that Brighton game, I want to be confident, but I don't know is the answer. I honestly don't know. But I do think we should be beating Brighton, because we've beaten them this season. So there's no excuse, really. We've got to be doing it. Yeah, we've got to be doing it.
And that's the thing. Obviously, the pressure is on, because we haven't got anything else to win this year apart from this top four. So we need to be doing what Luke is hoping is going to, and we all hope is going to happen. But obviously, Luke, you are the most optimistic one, and I wish I had that optimism, but they crush me all the time, so I don't bother anymore.
Oh, too many times.
But Luke, have you got the same kind of stance on Tanya as well? Like, do we? I know Faz is saying, don't drop Sonny. I don't think we're ever saying about dropping Sonny. I think we're just saying about giving him a little bit of a break. So Luke, do you think that not Lucas on my brain now? Do you think that, like Tanza said, maybe we'll see a bit of alteration in the team, maybe to fizz things up a bit? Because again, we're playing the same team that should be consistent, yet they're winning and then they're losing. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, sorry, I was paying attention. I was just looking at the figures, right, to back up my argument. So listen to this, right? We're 6 points behind Arsenal at the moment. Right? 6 points behind them. Okay, we play Brighton on Wednesday. They play Liverpool. If we can win, I don't see them beating Liverpool. That's 3 points. We also have to play Arsenal. If we beat them, that's 6 points. The gap is to 0. Like, I think, to say we've got no chance of top 4 is ridiculous. But anyway.
It's not.
Luke's hit me one of them.
But I've forgotten what we're going to say. Yeah, we'll beat Brighton. Easy.
We'll beat Brighton. I like that. That was an easy one to do.
No, look, Brighton are notorious for not scoring enough goals. Basically, they'd be a lot higher up if they scored a lot of goals. A draw wouldn't get me wrong, but I do need to start betting on Spurs again, because here's a fact for you. I had Spurs to beat City, at ridiculous odds, and then I had Spurs to both teams to score against Leeds, and we battered them 4-0, so I lost that money. I had 5-1 against Everton, and it was 5-0. And so I just need to keep gambling on Spurs, and we'll be absolutely... Even if I lose, Spurs will win, so that's all that matters, really. At the end of the day.
That is very true.
Start a GoFundMe page or something.
Oh, dear. But, Connor, same with you. What's your thoughts against Brighton? Are you on the same kind of wavelength? I mean, we're all going to say we need to win. We have to win. But are you again seeing some changes in that lineup after what we've talked about, obviously with Sonny and this, that, and the other?
Yeah, definitely. I think for me personally, I feel like Reggie wasn't great the other night. Awful.
Oh yeah, we need to talk about him. He was not good,
honestly. And I love him. I think he's got a lot of energy, wants to get involved, but no, everything was going wrong for him. But again, Cess is out, so that switch is
again. Is he?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I think you have to chill out. I know. The guy can't catch a break, honestly. But no, I think Brighton will be a close one. And I'm like with score predictions. Last time I did that whole I hate score predictions, blah, blah, blah. But I'm not going to give a score prediction, but I will say it will be extremely tight and we might just edge it. We haven't got a choice. We have to win. So screw it. I'll give a score prediction. I'll say 2-1 just because we have to edge it. And Brighton's form has been poor, so I think they're going to be up for it. What Luke said as well about them not scoring enough goals, 100% true. But you just know they'll score against us because that's us. We cannot keep a clean sheet to save our lives.
I can't remember the last one we've had.
Exactly.
So frustrating.
Everton. We had Everton, but Everton's Everton.
Everton. Yeah, I don't count that.
Leeds as well, but Leeds are down there as well. So no, it will be. I think we'll just edge it, but yeah, we'll definitely have changes. I don't think he's got a choice. Your best mate Winksy might come in as well, even though he's, I mean, let's hope not. But
oh dear.
yeah.
I mean, he has moved from the dartboard, but that isn't coincidental. That's not because he's gained a place now up on a pedestal with a bag on his head. He generally is still pants. But I hope that, I mean, that's actually something else I want to say. You've actually sparked my memory about something. Obviously, we've seen the likes of Eriksen doing wonders at Brentford. And I know his last 8 months at Tottenham Hotspur were not brilliant for him. But to see a player like Eriksen come into that Brentford side and be the missing jigsaw part that we've needed just shows we've never ever replaced him, have we, Tans? It is so infuriating.
Do you know who I think we should have signed was Coutinho? Like, I'm just seeing how he's doing at Villa, and I know we was linked with him. I keep hearing Conte weren't interested, but I just look at a play like that. We so desperately need that, and I think especially in that United game, you would look to Eriksen. We needed that player to. Because like Luke was saying at the beginning, like when the onus is on us, I just feel like we don't know what to do. And I just feel like a player like Eriksen will help us tick. And yeah, it's a shame that we just still haven't replaced him. But I love the fact that he's playing at Brentford. He's doing really well. I saw that beautiful assist that he got for that game. I was like, oh, Eriksen. Oh, but it's crazy. How long has it been since he's gone? And we've still not replaced him. Like it's criminal, really. It really is. We need to look at that in the summer, 100%.
Because obviously, I don't think Bentancur, obviously, he's been playing well recently, but I think against Man United, it's gone off the ball again. I think definitely. I think it's, again, he's coming into a league that's a lot quicker, and I think he's used to have a bit more time on the ball to do things. But I'm not saying that he was the answer, but Luke, he was the one that was fizzing that ball in on the ground more so than the likes of Winks and the other culprits in the middle. So do you hope that Bentancur can raise his game again and hopefully instill what he had prior Man United?
Yeah, definitely. I think he's absolutely outstanding. I think if we look at like those three, so Romero, Bentancur, and Kulusevski, as the business that we've done well so far, I think it's been like incredibly good business, and for their age as well. But I think, look, you got to look at him. He was injured, wasn't he? He got injured against Burnley, and so I think sometimes it takes a bit of time to like get back up to full speed again. So he's one of those players that had to play because you can't have Winks and Højbjerg in the middle. I'd like to see Bentancur and Skip.
Oh, Skip needs to come back. I don't know where. I'm honestly so concerned with that. I don't know why it's taken so long. I mean, I don't remember what his injury was exactly, but it wasn't a serious injury for him to be out this long.
No. But the last thing I want to see, by the way, and I'll say this over and over again, the last thing I want to see is Spurs replace Eriksen with Eriksen.
Yeah.
Yes, me too. Thank you. I'm so
I think
glad
sometimes
you
got to like leave things in the past and say like, thanks very much. Like, it was lovely, but you don't go back to your ex, do you? Do you know what I mean? Like,
no,
it's criminal.
Unless you were Gareth Bale, because that was quite nostalgic. But I don't want to see Eriksen again in a Spurs shirt, as much as it would pain me to say it. But again, kind of like I just said, the last 8 months of Tottenham, his heart wasn't in it anymore because he wanted a new challenge. I think there's a lot of players at Spurs that want a new challenge and weren't allowed one.
Definitely, yeah. I think as much as we'd have that sentimental love with Eriksen, especially with everything as well, we are living in the past if we do. And listen, it's slightly different, but it's like a lot of our fan base. I will forever sit here and bang on about how much I love Poch, this, that, the other, but a lot of us still live in that little Poch thing because they were the happiest days. Since Poch left, realistically, we've not really had many good days, have we? Let's be honest. All right, we had the cup final against City that we lost. We've had a lot of bad days. I mean, back to what you were saying about Bentancur. Bentancur is brilliant, and I was at the Borough game, and we were missing him in midfield big time, and that's mental. Sitting here and saying a guy we've just signed, we're missing him like that. That tells you everything about us. Skippy is what 21, 22, and we're saying we miss him.
That
tells you that the fact that we're having this conversation about Eriksen is a whole nother issue in itself that we have to mention that. But I forgot your question, to be honest.
That's all right. I rambled about the question as well. It's just about, obviously, we were talking about Eriksen and the fact that actually I can throw in a new one because Kev said here that we ain't getting a creative Eriksen Coutinho type under Coutinho. His system doesn't work.
Yeah, that is true.
Which is, I think, a true point in a sense, but we need someone. Maybe Bentancur is the answer, But again, he needs to remain fitness. And like Luke said, maybe it is because he's had that injury where he did the splits, and it probably still really hurts him. So kind of with that, what Kev said, do you think that that's kind of true in the sense that maybe we are kind of thinking too far forward that we need someone that's going to spray the ball left, right, and centre when actually that's probably not going to work for us?
Potentially, but we've got to look at it that, I mean, I don't know if Ericsson was a Conte, and Ericsson went there under Conte, didn't he? But I don't know if that was Conte signing or if that was the board signing him, because they could get him on the cheap. So, but again, I've read all sorts of things about Kulusevski. We play him on the wing, but apparently he can be deployed in that central attacking role. Ericsson plays well, yeah. So, I think we've always got that option. I think that's something we haven't tried. We haven't experimented enough with in the middle. So why don't we try it and see what happens? I think there are other areas of the pitch that we really have to improve on. Again, I could talk about this for hours, to be honest, but I think defensively we're set with Dyer and Romero, but we still miss that other, and that's no dig at Ben Davis. Always love his effort, but probably not good enough. So, but again, if sometimes the best form of attack is defense, and we've got great players on the wing who can bomb forward. We've got Kane, prolific goal scorer. If we can sort out the defense and we can get Skippy back, have Bensker in the middle, we might learn that we don't need that creative player. But I don't think we know that unless we try it.
That's a really interesting point, like you say. I mean, like Kev's come back now and said that he's created a far bit already, and that is true. And like Connor said, he, for me, was the one I was really excited about because, like you said, Connor, he was versatile. He can play in that middle. So, Tans, why don't we just try him there? Why don't we see if it works? Or do we keep him out on the wing because that's getting him goals and that's getting him assists?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to disrupt that, but I think it's something that we should try as a tactic. So I think in that game in particular, the Man United game, I think that's what Conte should have done, to be honest. I would have kept Kulusevski on, maybe put him in like a more creative position and then put Lucas on the right. That might have caused Man United problems. But I wanted to talk about, I think it was Kev, he was saying, Conte's system doesn't rely on like a creative midfielder. And he's right, because it relies a lot on the wing backs for the creativity. And I think that's the problem we're having as well. I was really frustrated with Reguilon in that game, very frustrated. He was losing the ball, and I sometimes think he's allergic to actually crossing it at times. And then Matt Doherty again, unfortunately, he was back to himself in that game. And I just think when you don't have wing backs that aren't giving you that creativity, aren't putting in lovely crosses in, that's really not going to help things. So I think right back, I'm not sure about Royal. I don't really rate Doherty. So that's an area that we need to upgrade on in the summer. And then again, I feel like I don't want to write off Reguilon because I do think he's a decent player, but, he can't continue how he did in that game because he was having a shocker, absolute shocker. But yeah, for now, I'd keep Kulusevski where he is. But I think in certain games where we need to change things up, I would try putting him a bit more in the midfield.
That's an interesting, and it's really interesting as well that obviously you said, like Kev said, because we don't have that kind of creativeness where it should be coming from, it makes those midfield players look bad. And I know some of them are with Harry Winks, but Bentancur, for example, like he's not bad. He's the one trying to force the play because the wing backs aren't necessarily doing it. And Luke, I'll come to you as well because I'm not too sure on Reguilon because obviously it's been a while since we've had him. But isn't there still a thing that he could potentially go back?
This summer.
Yeah.
And we gained £10 million as well, €10 million. Yeah. So the buyback is for like 10 million more than what we paid, and like the final cut off is this summer. The problem with that is then we would need to buy. So like I was just doing it in my head while you were talking. So like then we would need to definitely buy like a right wing back, right? We definitely need a left-footed central defender, right? And we definitely need a backup, or I hate that word, another striker.
Yeah.
Right? So that's 3 that we definitely need, right? Which I could see happening. If we're adding to that in sell Reggie and buy another left wing back as well, do you know what I mean? At a similar or better level than Reggie is, like I think, what the Spurs board are like, I think we'd be asking for a lot. So like I think like the main areas like to begin with would be like, as I said, right wing back, left-footed central defender, and a striker. That to me would plug the holes that we currently have. I would be happy with Bentancur and Skip in midfield. And then I'm happy with Son, Kulu and Kane up there. So I don't know. And then obviously we also need another fucking goalkeeper as well.
At some point.
We don't need a lot at all. I mean,
No.
easy summer.
So I'm just thinking realistically, it's mental, isn't it? Like, because we've only got can't catch a cold Galini on loan. So
oh, what a waste that was. I don't know. I hear what you're saying, Luke, but I do think the wing backs, it is a bit of an issue for me, or a concern, should I say, because even Sessegnon, I mean, he's so injury prone, and at the minute I'm just like, you play good for like 2 games and then you get injured, so you can't really get any momentum. I'm not quite sure about him as well as a player. And then Reguilon as well, I feel like he's sometimes inconsistent. And then you've got the right-hand side with Doherty.
I know, but I'm thinking like,
isn't better than Royal.
Right now, like left will it's not as bad as the right.
No, it's not as bad as the right.
So I'm trying to look damage control. I'm thinking like, how can we realistically again? Like, how can we? I'm optimistic about top 4. I'm not optimistic at 5-6 signings in the summer.
I mean, that is a fair shout.
I know things that are in our control, and that's top 4, but the signing of players is definitely out of our control.
I mean, that is a very good point, to be fair. Connor, I'll come to you for the last kind of point on the signings and things. Are you kind of the same in that kind of like we've got priorities we need to sort out first, rather than being like, right, we need a new goalkeeper, we need this, that, and the other, because it is going to be difficult because we know what this board are like, and we've got a lot of problems to fix, and I don't think they're going to be fixed once again in this summer.
No, I agree with Tanya and Luke. I think Tanya made a great point about the wing backs in Conte's system. It's so important. Obviously, Luke is being realistic in terms of the signings. We don't spend money. Like, we don't, that's naturally us. I mean, we might have to convince Conte to stay on. He might have that supposed 100 million transfer budget or whatever it is. But, we've got to sell on top of that as well. We might be able to sell on Ndombele, Lo Celso. Obviously, Gil's not going to go. It's just a loan. I think we have got to be realistic and also look beyond it as well. I mean, let's be real. Conte is usually a short-term manager. So he is the sort of manager where we'll maybe get another season out of him, maybe another at a push, and that'll be it. So if we're looking at replacing too much, then what resources does that leave with the new manager coming in and his potential different system as well? And I know we shouldn't really look at it like that. If you bring Conte in, it's short-term. So you have to go full guns blazing back in. But we've got to be realistic with, if Reguilon goes, who else are you going to get? We've got Cess as that other option, but Cess is injury prone. He's still learning a lot as well. So we've got priority signings, definitely. The Kane backup one, I could tell you I've been moaning about that one since Kane has come on the scene. Honestly, do you know what? Vinicius was a great option. Just having
I'm telling you, he doesn't get the respect that he deserves, Vinicius. I'm not saying
like
he was
a
world
of
beater.
like 45 million or something. Like
he wasn't a world beater, but he was handy. We had another player that could play in those games that Kane just doesn't need to play in. Like, it was handy to have him there. But carry on.
Llorente as well, honestly. No, Llorente was not the prettiest player, but again, he was that option we had, and for me, Dane Scarlett, got a lot of potential, good for him. I'm very excited for him, but he's not going to cut in that team. He's maybe got to start going on those loans. Just give him minutes. Don't rely on young players. When you're a team that's battling for top 4 and for trophies, because that let us down with Poch. We had no bench with Poch. Ultimately, we had young players on that bench, and it ruined it for us. So, priority positions, as you say, definitely some in defence. Obviously, the backup for Kane, if that ever will happen. And the goalkeeper situation as well, because Galini is definitely not good enough, honestly.
This comment made me laugh.
Darren.
You're not wrong. Oh, don't, honestly. I mean, why can't we, someone like Dean Henderson at United? I mean, he hasn't had minutes for
That's a hell of a shout, to be honest. Yeah. But then he wants to be number 1, doesn't he? So, like, that's the big problem with that.
But I think we need to start looking towards that, though, because as much as I love Lloris, like, I don't think he's like a long-term goalkeeper. Like, we've obviously extended his contract, but I think we need to start looking towards actually getting in a number 1, because he's not a young goalkeeper. He's not in his prime, and I love Lloris, but I just think we need to look towards getting another goalkeeper that does want to take that first place spot and give him competition. I mean, none of these players know what competition is. Harry Kane especially. Yeah. And on what Connor was saying, you know, look at the Man United game as a prime example. Look who they brought on. And I know we can't compare ourselves to Man United. Like, we don't have the resources that they have. They're a bigger club, yes. But they had Cavani that they could bring on. You know, they had all these different options. And, you know, we have to bring on a Dane Scarlett. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, we don't have any other player that can change the game. And I just think we don't necessarily have to spend big money on players. You honestly don't. I think Leicester's proof of that. We just need to be smart, but we just never are, and it frustrates the life out of me.
You talk about being smart, though. Like, the first person I would go and look at, which I've said the last time they got relegated.
Oh, who is it?
No. So the first person I go and look at to fill that right wing back spot is go and get like Max Aarons from Norwich, because they're getting relegated again.
Yeah.
For me, there's not going to be a huge price tag on it. He has played in the Premier League. I think that he would be a good addition to that right wing back spot. But again, when teams get relegated, there's a bargain to be made from some players that are there. You know, there's not many in Norwich or Watford that I'd take, but he would probably be one just to kind of go in and fill that right wing back spot. But I don't know.
No, I'd go all in for Lamptey. That's who I want. I don't care how much it costs. I just think he'd be class. I know. Do you know what I mean?
I love it.
I
so
don't
good.
care how much it
so
costs.
good.
I get him. He's so like, he would honestly improve us massively. He's the one I want. But
the trouble is, Brighton will know it as well. That's the only problem about it.
He will cost an arm and a leg.
Oh, it'll be about 50 mil. I think definitely they'll put out for 50 mil, honestly. But just one more thing. Yeah. Sorry, no, what was you say, Luke?
It's just I'm looking at that comment about Spence is better than Aarons. He
Spence
might be better than
good.
Aarons, but then you're looking at he would cost a lot more than Aarons would cost. So again, I'm talking about like what we can physically.
Being realistic.
Do you think? I don't think it would cost that much more. I don't think so.
I think the problem you've got with Spence is you've got all these rumours surfacing that Bayern are interested and Real.
Well, that's us out there.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
With his age, you would pay more money for it.
I'm just going to finish on this because obviously it seems that hamstrings are the bane of our life at this club at the moment. So maybe Lamptey isn't the one. But like Faz has said as well, be injured for more than half a season. But who knows? I think the summer's we all want it to be big, but whether it will be another question.
It has to. No, Hollie, there's no if. It has to be.
It has to be, but
it can't. Obviously, look, we have to be realistic in some ways, and I despise the board. I think we all know that, but we can't ask for 10 players in one window. But it has to be a window where it's productive, and we can feel as fans that, you know, Conte's actually been backed. Because the last thing, we don't want to start off the season with him, you know what Conte's like. I mean, every time we lose a game, we think he's going to walk out. So if we have a terrible summer transfer window, I mean, I'm going to be mortified for the start of the season. So it has to be a good window. It has to be. No excuses.
And I think maybe the only thing that's given me a bit of hope is obviously what we did in January. It was only 2 players, but they've both been great impact players. So hopefully that's something to hold against, but we'll have to, like I say, wait and see. Obviously we've got Brighton and then we have West Ham. Hollie Hotspurs Live will be back next Monday talking about West Ham, where I'm hoping it's not a loss after, obviously, because Brighton's supposed to be the win and West Ham's supposed to be the loss, but hopefully the curse is broken by then. It'll be fine. But I think I'm crossing my fingers and my toes as we speak. But anyway, I want to say thank you to all of the people in the comments tonight, and especially you guys being my guests. So we'll go around in a carousel saying where everybody can find you doing your thing. So first of all, Luke, where can I find you doing your thing?
Yeah, so thanks, Hollie. As always, like, make sure you subscribe to Hollie's channel. Make sure you buy memberships, all of that jazz, right? So make sure you do all that. You can find me at Rivalry Aside TV. Actually, so there's been a lot of like changes on our channel over the last few years, but we're starting a new show this week, Wednesday 6:30. It should be on, and it's going to be called North London Lowdown, and it's basically me and a Spurs guest and our Arsenal host and an Arsenal guest every week talking about Spurs and Arsenal, and debating who's finishing where, what's happening.
Oh, it's going to sound lively.
Yeah, it could be a lively show every week. So if you want to come and join, you can come to our channel. It's Rivalry Aside TV on Twitter, YouTube, all the rest of it.
Legend. Thank you, Luke, once again. And also, Connor, where can everybody find you doing your thing as well?
So, I want to repeat what Luke said. Subscribe to Hollie, all the comment thing. I don't really understand the comment thing, but yeah. Hollie smashing it. Yeah, so I'm mainly, my main thing is on TikTok, Season Club, and your name there. I am on YouTube, but I mainly just upload my TikTok videos on YouTube. But that's CT's McLovin Footy. I'm not gonna pin my Twitter because I don't really use my Twitter that much anymore, to be fair. But yeah, that's, you know, talk about footy, not just Tottenham, sadly. Well, and actually, that's a good thing because I'm not.
No, it's good for you. Good for you.
Yeah, but yeah, no, as well. Thanks for having us on as ever. So.
No, it's good. I loved it, and like I say, I do like watching your TikToks. They are class, to be fair. I wish I could get to more games. I feel like I'm at the games when you upload your TikToks. So thanks for that, for joining me tonight as well, Connor. And also, Tans, it's so lovely to have you back on the show again. It's so nice to hear your voice. Ranting about Tottenham, you know, I've missed it.
You know, I've surprised myself. I've been very calm today. I just don't, it doesn't affect me anymore. They don't affect me anymore.
Just numb to it.
No, yeah, I'm numb to it all. I'm numb to it all. No, honestly, it's been a pleasure to come back on. It's been great to, you know, be on the show with Luke and meeting Connor as well. Subscribe, everyone, to Hollie. Subscribe. But yeah, you could just find me on Twitter at there. The boys are going to kill me, but we'll talk about that later podcast as well. I keep forgetting to put it in my Twitter, in my thing. Oh, it's really bad. Yeah, we're going to drop an episode this Wednesday. So we'll record tomorrow and we'll drop an episode on Wednesday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Yeah.
That's
it.
Me. Nice. I like it. No, thanks again for all three of you for joining me tonight. It's been a nice therapy session. Like I say, Sue has been ringing in my ear since Saturday. So I'm very pleased to it
just had to be Ronaldo, didn't it? I was oh my god.
It had to be.
be.
And big up to everyone in the chat tonight as well. Like I say, Hollie Hotspurs Live will be back next Monday. And if you're not already a member and you fancy supporting the channel, that would be lovely. But it doesn't matter because you're all here anyway and chatting as we talk things out. So it's all Gucci. And I can't believe I just said that live on stream. But anyway, until next time, I suppose, come on, you Spurs.
Woo.